She noticed one small error, and the CEO reaction froze the boardroom. The mistake was no bigger than a missing decimal point. Yet the moment she saw it glowing on the presentation screen, her breath caught and her heartbeat turned loud enough to drown the air-conditioning hum of the boardroom. 12 executives sat stiff and confident around the long glass table, charts reflected in their polished shoes, while the CEO stood at the head like a judge ready to deliver a verdict. And there she was, invisible in her plain clothes at the far end, an unnoticed junior analyst who had just realized that one small error could cost the company millions, or cost her everything if she spoke. Fear pressed against her chest, but something deeper, something stubborn and honest, refused to let her look away. Before the story unfolds any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet courage, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel KHstories. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. She had joined the company only 6 months earlier, still learning the rhythm of corporate life, still feeling like a guest in someone else's world. Every morning, she arrived early, coffee in hand, hoping to disappear into her spreadsheets and leave without drawing attention. Her past had taught her that staying silent was safer. She had grown up watching her father lose his job after pointing out corruption in his workplace, and she remembered the nights of whispered worries and unpaid bills. Speaking up, she learned early, could be dangerous. Yet here she was now, staring at a projection that showed projected profits rising confidently, built on a calculation she knew was wrong. One decimal misplaced, one assumption misread, and the entire forecast collapsed like a house of cards. Her mind raced through consequences. If she spoke and was wrong, she would be humiliated in front of the board. If she spoke and was right, she would be interrupting people far above her rank, challenging work already approved by senior managers. If she stayed quiet, the company would move forward blind, and she would carry the weight of knowing she had let it happen. The room felt colder, the walls closing in as the CEO voice continued, outlining bold expansion plans, praising precision and excellence as core values. Those words struck her harder than any accusation. Precision, excellence. They echoed inside her until her hands began to tremble. She remembered the long nights she had spent checking data, the pride she felt in being thorough even when no one noticed. She remembered why she had chosen this career, believing numbers told the truth when people would not. Slowly, painfully, she raised her hand. It felt like lifting a weight far heavier than her own body. Heads turned, some surprised, some irritated. The room paused. The CEO stopped mid-sentence and really looked at her for the first time. In that instant, her fear peaked, but so did her resolve. She explained the error, carefully, respectfully, her voice shaking but steady enough to carry the truth. She pointed out the decimal, the ripple effect it caused through the projections, the risk it posed if ignored. Silence followed, thick and uncomfortable. Board members glanced at each other, some frowning, some defensive. A senior manager cleared his throat, clearly unhappy that a junior employee had disrupted the flow. The CEO turned back to the screen, walked closer, and studied the numbers again. The seconds stretched. Her heart pounded so hard she wondered if everyone could hear it. This was the moment her future balanced on. This was the moment she would either be remembered as a problem or erased entirely. Then something unexpected happened. The CEO posture changed. The confidence on his face gave way to focus, then to realization. The room seemed to freeze as he reached for a marker and recalculated the figures in front of everyone. The result was undeniable. The projections dropped sharply, the truth exposed in stark clarity. And no one spoke, no one moved. The boardroom, once filled with authority and certainty, now felt fragile. The CEO turned around slowly, his expression unreadable, and looked directly at her again. For a heartbeat, she braced for dismissal, for blame, for the polite corporate smile that hides punishment. Instead, his reaction stunned everyone. He acknowledged the mistake openly, taking responsibility for missing it, and thanked her for her attention to detail. He spoke about the importance of integrity over ego, about how organizations fail not because of errors, but because people are afraid to point them out. The tension in the room shifted, confusion giving way to something like respect. Some board members nodded reluctantly, others looked thoughtful. The senior manager who had frowned earlier stared at the table, suddenly very interested in his notes. For her, the moment felt unreal. The fear that had gripped her for days dissolved into a quiet, overwhelming relief. She had not only been heard, she had been valued. After the meeting, colleagues approached her differently, with curiosity instead of indifference. She was invited into conversations she had never been part of before. Over time, her role grew, not because she chased attention, but because she had earned trust. The CEO later implemented a policy encouraging junior employees to speak up, sharing her story as an example of courage that saved the company from a costly mistake. Yet the most powerful change happened inside her. She no longer shrank at the edges of rooms. She learned that silence can protect you, but it can also imprison you. She learned that fear does not disappear before brave acts. It follows them, trembling, until courage teaches it a new place to stand. Her father's story no longer felt like a warning alone, but a reminder that truth has a price, and sometimes a reward. Years later, when she sat at her own desk overlooking the city, mentoring new analysts who reminded her of herself, she would tell them, not through speeches but through actions, that their voices mattered. That even the smallest error noticed by the quietest person could change everything. That leadership was not about rank, but responsibility. If this story touched your heart,